And welcome back. So the South African Democratic Teachers Union, SADTU, has rejected the new education minister. The ministry will be led by the DA Siviwe Gwarube after the president, Cyril Ramaphosa, announced his cabinet last night. The union says that the DA has no interest in addressing issues faced by black teachers in the sector. SADTU's General Secretary Mugwena Maluleke now joins us live. Mugwena, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for making time for us. You have a new minister in the Department of Basic Education, Siviwe Gwarube. How do you respond to that?
Good morning, and good morning to you viewers at home, and thank you for having us indeed. We have acknowledged that the president has the prerogative to appoint whoever they want to appoint, and the appointment is in terms of that prerogative, and therefore we acknowledge that. However, we must say that this is an affront for the appointment of Siviwe because in the manifesto of the DA is creating a narrative based obviously on ideologies that the DA believes in, that SADTU is a stumbling block to quality education. And the DA has been clear in terms of rejecting those transformational policies that the Department of Basic Education wanted to implement, including rejecting the Bella Bill that basically wanted to help us to deal with issues of language, which would address the issues of discrimination in our school based on language. And therefore, the relationship basically is what the minister will have got to look at. We have created an environment where labor peace has been there for many, many years, and that is very important. And therefore, the appointment of a DA minister who does not believe in transformation, who does not believe in equity, who does not believe in the ingrained and meshed narrative, which is very deficit in terms of the student achievement, and only understanding that students achieve because they must work very hard. And not understanding that opportunities and the environment is very important for those particular students. It is going to define the relationship moving forward, and therefore we really are not happy, I must indicate, with the department being headed by a person from the DA, irrespective of whether black or white or brown. That is not an issue. The issue is those beliefs and ideologies that the DA still have, that you have the poor and the working class must always accept the inferior status, and this white supremacy mentality is governing the DA throughout. And we have seen it even in terms of the letters that have been leaked, the statement by Helen Zille. But obviously, that is their culture, that is their belief, that's their ideology, and that's the issue.
Yeah. Mugwena, do you think perhaps that your fears are misplaced if you consider that Siviwe Gwarube will be part of cabinet and will be also part of decisions that are taken by cabinet? There's one chairperson of cabinet, and that is the president, who is still the president of the ANC. What's your fears, and what informs that fears? Do you think that the president will bow under the pressure from the Democratic Alliance, for instance, to repeal, this is now from the ANC side, the Bella Act?
Yes, we believe that she's going to have to attempt to repeat, to reverse that, because the DA did not support it. The president hasn't signed it as yet, and we wonder why the president has not signed it, because the president signed a number of bills just before the elections, and then only left this one out, and therefore it leaves us with that particular question mark on why this one was left out. And obviously, we must not really not understand the goal of the DA. The DA was very clear that even its deputies are going to be different from the other deputies. They will also have the credibility and the credentials of being in the cabinet. They will be part of the executive, as we know that deputy ministers cannot even stand in to act when the ministers are out of the country or assigned other responsibilities, because we know that they are not part of the executive per se in terms of powers and authority. But the DA was very clear. Theirs will have those particular credentials. So what stops us from believing that indeed the DA will do whatever they want to do with basic education, irrespective of what the president has said?
But that would be unconstitutional, don't you think? The Constitution is clear who is part of cabinet, that is the president, the deputy president, and the ministers, not the deputy ministers. They do not form part of the executive.
Why did the DA say that particular statement? They said it because when it suits them, they believe in the Constitution. When it doesn't suit them, they believe in white supremacy. So white supremacy here, it is that it can change anything.
White supremacy can change anything?
Yeah, it can change anything, because obviously they have narratives, and the people who do not go deep into analyzing actually the words that they use would believe that they will not do it. They will do it. Let me tell you, they will do it because they know that the system is based on those particular narratives that believes that black people are corrupt, that black people are lazy, and therefore, if anything is going to be said by the DA, that these people must be part of the executive, the very same society will believe that is necessary because it is the DA, you know. So we must understand that institutional racism has really damaged people's minds, and people will just believe anything because it's been said by the DA, and because the DA is having this power and the superpower of capital and the market. And we have seen it. When the DA sneezes, the rent goes somewhere north. And then when the DA says, no, but we're no longer suffering from flu, and then the rent goes up. So what is it that they cannot do? It's power, it's capital, it's money, it's the economy, it's in their hands.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mugwena, I remember a couple of years ago at one of SADTU's conferences, SADTU was one of the first unions at that conference to endorse Cyril Ramaphosa to become the president of the ANC. He was then the deputy president of the ANC. Considering this particular decision, do you believe that the president of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, has lived up to the ideals that you endorsed him on a couple of years ago when he was running to become the president of the ANC?
The president of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, is leading a divided house. And in that particular divided house, people are putting their interest first, and therefore he is being compromised. And because he's compromised, he will not live up to those particular ideals and those particular priorities, as we said, that we support him for that. Therefore, he's been compromised because he's leading a highly divided house.
What does it mean? What do you mean by he's been compromised, or he has been compromised?
It's been compromised because it's no longer about the interest of the country, the interest of us in education, and the interest of everyone in health and everywhere else. It is the interest of those particular people who are in leadership, which position they would want to occupy. And therefore, these particular decisions, therefore, they impact on his prerogative, because they will then be told, you need to increase so many deputies so that you then are able to cover these and able to take care of that, and so forth. So we know he's compromised because while he's exercising his prerogative in terms of the Constitution, that prerogative has been compromised by a divided house. It's compromised by the fact that Helen Zille also has, impacted on how he has got to appoint his cabinet and so forth. So yeah, he's compromised. So he's no longer driving his own goal and a vision that he had when we endorsed him. But obviously, look at how many positions have been created. It is not about the interest of the country. It's about the interest of the parties.
Does compromise mean sell out?
No, not sell out. Compromise that you can't exercise your authority.
Okay.
You can't exercise your intelligence. You can't exercise your vision. Your vision is always to be clouded by the interest of those who are surrounding you. So therefore, you no longer are able to be decisive. You cannot be authoritative, because you need to be able to, accommodate those particular interests that are so many, so divergent, because you are not leading a focused ANC that is united and wanting to deliver for the people of our country. And so under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have really given the DA the basic education ministry, knowing very well that labor peace is fundamental in education. But because of those who are compromising, okay, you give me finance, you give me this, therefore you've got to compromise at the end of the day. So that is how it's compromised.
Okay. So what does this then mean for SADTU as a member of a federation which is an alliance with the ANC, and how you have this relationship with the ANC? Because sometimes you'd have, for instance, the Alliance Summit and so forth, where discussions are being taken on various policy proposals. What happens now going forward, considering that as you say, the president has been compromised, so he's not as powerful as he was before.
The first thing that is going to happen is that we remain part of the alliance through COSATU. And then we know that we have got a national democratic revolution that will have to deliver equity, social justice, and social cohesion for our people. And therefore, we still see the ANC as that particular vehicle within the alliance. And therefore, we'll continue to make sure that we work hard to ensure that the ANC is renewed. And renewal will be that those who are criminals, those who are corrupt, and those who are in the state capture find their way to go out of the African National Congress so that we can deliver for the people of our country. So we know that ours is a long-term goal of ensuring that we live in a country that is free, in a country that can really have an economic growth, as we have said in our NEC, that we have to work very hard as the teachers to ensure that we have functional skills, foundational skills, so that we build an economy. So we are not abandoning the alliance. We are going to make sure that the contradictions are sharpened in that particular alliance so that those who do not belong there must leave.
You made reference earlier on to the Democratic Alliance's manifesto. Just quickly want to read from it. They call it, of course, a rescue plan. Since 1998, SADTU has weakened systems for managing teachers' performance. Furthermore, SADTU not only undermines performance and accountability measures, but also effectively dictates the hiring process, leaving it susceptible to cadre deployment, nepotism, and conflict of interest. What is on your agenda when you have your first meeting with the new Minister of Basic Education?
First in the agenda is that the Minister of Education must apologize on behalf of the white people of this country that we cannot accept the ideologies of blaming the victims. In other words, you have a system that is so enmeshed and engraved with those ideologies that blame the teachers, blame the learners, and so forth. We want that particular minister to be able to deal with that. Secondly is that, we have got the National Education Policy Act that dictates that trade unions will be consulted as part of the law of this country. Therefore, the minister must really, commit to that she will not see us as enemies, but see us as partners so that we are able to protect the environment for our children, to have labor peace, to have education. That is our priority.
And you will also see her as a partner, not as an enemy?
Yes, because we see that position as a position that is created by the constitution of our country, not as an individual, and that position we respect.
Thank you so much for your time. That's SADTU's General Secretary there, Mugwena Maluleke, in reaction to the appointment of Siviwe Gwarube, who is now the new Minister of Basic Education.